Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the Train Sim World 5 Looking Back series, and in this one we're going to go back and we're going to look at the very nice Tees Valley line, which is Darlington to Saltburn by the sea. And this has been out for quite some time now. We'll have a look through all the information as we go on Steam. We're at Darlington Station right now, ready to go. We are in the class 101. The 101 does come with the route. You either love the 101 or you'll hate it. It's, I would say, one of the more trickier trains we've got in Train Sim World to get a hold of, but once you get into it, it isn't actually that bad at all. We've driven it several times before on the channel, including way back a little tutorial on how to do it. You'll find that on the channel if you go back and have a look in the dim and distant. But today we want to talk about the route itself. It's always been a good route. I could have driven it with the 37, which comes as part of the route. That was tempting, but I know that the 101 is coming back again as part of the West Coast Main Line over Shap by Just Trains. So I thought, well, let's get a bit of practice in with the 101, shall we? And we'll do a little run between Darlington, where we are now, up to Middlesbrough, which is about halfway of the actual route. We'll talk about the route, as I said, as we go. So we'll get into it, shall we? So I'll come out of the photo mode. Here we are in the cab of the 101. So that's going to unlock the doors. Let's get the cab set up, because this is also unusual. There's our master key, which is called the control circuit key here. We have got lights there for the little dashboard. We'll have the destination light on. We'll have that on white on the front. We'll have the right marker on white, so that's right. We're going to Middlesbrough, so let's set the destination board as we scroll through. You do see a lot of locations on there for the Northern Transpennine, because of course the 101 is also on the Northern Transpennine. We'll have the train lights on, just like that. There we go. Everyone's oh, they're all packed in, aren't they? I don't want those guys looking at me, you know. Can I put the blinds down? Because back in the day you would have been able to put these blinds down, but I can't find an option there to do that, which is a shame. Right, so shall we go to the back, because we need to put the tail lights on. If I can actually open the door. Let's just close that. We don't want anybody getting in there that doesn't need to get in. There we are, Middlesbrough. Let's quickly run down to the back. We've got a lot of blokes here with 80s shell suit tops going past. Looking very dapper indeed. Now here we've got the left marker light. Actually, we want that red. Sorry, not white. Red at the back. This is what forms the tail lights. We will put the destination board light on, and again we'll change this to Middlesbrough so that everybody can see where it is we're off to. Oops, that's Manchester Victoria. That's a bit of a trek. Let's close that, just check. Yep, there's the tail lights. Right, let's skip past everybody. Already fashionably late, because it does take a little bit of time to get this thing set up. Let's do that. The other thing we need to do is switch on the safety systems, which are, if you can find them, under this seat somewhere. There it is. Let's put the reverser into forwards. Right, we can lock the doors. And we're all ready to go to depart for our first stop, which is Dinsdale. So let's put the gears into the first gear, as you can see there, and then take off the brakes. It's got lapped brakes and it's got gears, and that's why it's tricky. So we're in first gear. Always reset the brakes to the lapped position so you're in the middle. And this is actually the first time I'm driving it with this new mini hood as well, which it'll be interesting because I'm having to rely on the instruments. So the minute that needle gets into the yellow there on the dashboard, or to the top of the yellow, I will, about now, drop the throttle, put the gear up, let it come below the yellow, and then re-accelerate again just like a car, just like changing gears on a geared car, and we're a little bit fast coming out of there. Let's try a little bit of brake, shall we? There we go. That's better. Release the brakes fully. Put them back to the lap position. So I can see there I'm in gear 2 at the moment, so that's fine. But yeah, this is a 2-car 101. I'm not entirely sure, because we'll see it on the Steam page shortly. I wonder if this 2-car comes from Northern Transpennine, because it only mentions a 3-car in the description on Steam. And I can't recall whether or not this is from Northern Transpennine or not. Someone will have to keep me honest there, I think. We'll go to the Steam page quite shortly and have a look at what it's all about. So this one's going to be interesting because I'm driving it live and I'm talking and I'm going to be reading out all the description from the Steam page. So we'll see how we go, shall we? There's another 101 waiting to come into Darlington station. They're probably just waiting for me to clear. He's on his way in right now. There we go. So, let's have a look what it says on Steam, shall we? So, experience a bygone era of British Rail in the historic birthplace of railways and the heart of the British steel industry. In Trainsim World Tees Valley Line, operate your trains over an ageing rail network with out-of-date infrastructure on a route deep in transition between old and new. And we'll see a lot of that shortly. Reproduced in exquisite detail, every station, signal and milepost feels so real you could almost reach back in time and touch them. It is funny actually, because this end of the route is quite nice. It's quite well, you see on the left there, it's all nicely residential with Darlington over there. You can just see the top of Darlington station. The second half of the route is very industrial and it's very bleak, and it's, I don't know, it's a bit depressing. And I have seen some videos of this on YouTube from this time period, and it does look very bleak around there. So if you are from there on this neck of the woods, or you've got experience of this line, you let me know how it compares once again, as I always ask you, with real life, because I'm interested in that. It says, it's your job to carry steel over the rails that follow the route of the historic Darlington and Stockton Railway, the world's first commercial railway. Manage your powerful locomotives and heavy trains, navigating the scenic countryside and industrial centres of northeast England. Whether you're driving, riding along or watching the action, experience all the sights and sounds of a chapter of British Railways long forgotten in time. Take control of 3 icons of British motive power: the BR Class 37 mixed traffic locomotive, the BR Class 08 diesel shunting locomotive, and this one that we're in now, the BR Class 101 diesel multiple unit, featuring authentic diesel electric and diesel mechanical simulations. Underpinned with expert technical knowledge and real world data, the performance, sounds and feel have been accurately reproduced to make them feel just like the real thing. Sounds really exciting, doesn't it? We've got less than a mile to get into Dinsdale, and then we'll pick up the story again from Steam once we've negotiated this stop. Now, I should probably be in gear 4 for this. So if I just do that. Gear 4, that's what we're in, that's good. Because I do remember advice being you should be in gear 1 or gear 4 when you go to slow down in real life, because it saves wear and tear on the actual train itself. So I try to do that when I can, but it's not always possible because there's a lot going on. I don't want to come in too slow, so let me put the brakes back to lap again. We'll put a little bit in, and then we'll lap it to lock the brake in where it is, which is not enough. Let's do a little bit more. We're going to probably overshoot, I would think. Maybe just... That is the full brake that's on there, which is probably not good. Just lap it there. We didn't do too badly. Let's have a look. The first door is just coming off the platform. Let's get the doors open. This is Dinsdale Station. Has a very 80s feel to it as well with these stations, doesn't it? The signage. Oh, there's a route map collectible there. Because the route as well does feature collectibles, as it will tell us no doubt in the write-up once we get to that point. Now you can prep for this and be in first gear, ready to go. We need to wait until 14:22 actually, so we didn't do so bad on timing. Let's have a look at the schedule actually. So we got Dinsdale, we're due into Allens West at 14:29. Eagles Cliff 14:31. Thornaby where it starts getting a little bit bleak, and then Middlesbrough at 14:44. So it's about a half-hour run. Again, like when we looked at the Brighton commuter, this is about half of the route that we're doing today. We're going to lock the doors. Those guys have missed it. We're going to get the brakes off. We're already in first gear, so we can throttle up. We'll keep an eye on what's going on with the RPMs. When it gets to the top of the yellow, drop the throttle. Go up to gear 2. When it drops out of the yellow, you can accelerate again. Fairly straightforward once you've done it a few times. I'm doing this all on the controller, by the way. So that's gear 3. We can get up to 60, but we got a 30 just now. So let's keep it under that 30. We've got 4 miles to Allens West. So just continuing the story again from the Steam description. Train Sim World Tees Valley Line caters for players of all ability levels, with accessible tutorials for beginners and advanced procedures for experts. Whether you're looking to get started driving trains or refreshing your expert knowledge, Train Sim World 2, it says there in the description. So we're in Train Sim World 5 now, but this was released for Train Sim World 2. Feel the detail as you step into the cab. Take control and live out your dreams. Was it ever your dream to drive a 101? I don't know about driving it. I've said before, when we've had streams when I was a kid, I would always try when I've travelled on one of these, and I did travel on these quite a lot. I used to try and sit here or here and hope it was like this with the blinds up, so I could watch what the driver was doing, because you get a unique perspective there of the front of the train, which you don't often get as a passenger. You only get to look out of the side usually. So as a kid, I would always rush to the front. And the other thing about these was, as I change gear to 4 and bring it up to speed, which is 60, these seats don't do it justice. These seats were really springy. You could spring on those, and if you whacked your hand on it, the dust would come up, you know, woof, a big cloud of dust would come out of the seats. These look very, very clean, these. I can only think this is a brand new 101, this. They weren't as clean as this, but they were very comfortable, those seats, actually. Unlike today's sort of, you know, washing board, ironing board, not washing board, what am I talking about? Ironing board seats you get on some of these modern, you know, modern trains. But yeah, I would always go and try and sit at the front. As soon as the doors open, I'd rush in and get to the front, even if the family had to sit, you know, several rows behind. Good fun. There's the airport. You see the planes flying over the top. And once again, you know, if you flick to the map now, you can see that that was Teesside Airport. So again, Train Sim World 5, you know, you couldn't do that before Train Sim World 5. You would have had to go out of the cab if you didn't know and try and have a look at the sign on the platform, which was tricky when you're at speed. So that map is actually a really good thing. It's going to come in very useful, that. So let's have a look at some of the key features, shall we, of this route as well. It's a 27-mile route of the Tees Valley between Darlington and Saltburn by the sea. There is the 37/5 in BR Trainlord Metals livery. So within that there are freight services for coal runs. You're also taking the coiled steel away from the factory and delivering it elsewhere, all with the 37. The 37 runs are quite nice, and this was the first 37 that was in Train Sim World, which was something that I was particularly excited for because I love a 37, I always did. We got the BR Class 08 in BR Corporate Blue, Thornaby livery, so you'll see those knocking about once we get to Thornaby. And then of course there is the 101, and that's where it says 3-car DMU, and we got a 2-car in BR Corporate Blue and Grey livery. We got the British Rail Rail Freight HEA Domestic and Industrial Cork Hopper Wagons, and we got the British Rail Rail Freight BBA 50-foot bogie steel carrier wagons as well. And I'm going to keep my eye on what's going on now as we approach Allens West, because we need to come down to a 45. So I'll just lap the brake just for now. Just release it again. Highly detailed, feature-rich driving cabs with accurate, true-to-life performance and handling for both locomotives and multiple units. Authentic and detailed sound recordings recorded from the real locos. 5 detailed and engaging scenarios for the route. And 100 collectibles for you to find, including route maps, newspaper bundles, electrical cabinets and broken lights. And yeah, that's quite interesting actually. You know what I did for that in the original? I actually jumped in the 08 and went the whole length of the line in the shunter, just hopping out doing the collectibles, because some of the collectibles, especially the electrical boxes, they're off the platforms, so you do have to get off the platforms with some of these ones. Right, this is Allens West. We're going to stop slightly short of the signal, but if you've driven the 101, you'll forgive me for that. Let's put it into first gear, ready to depart. We'll have a look outside while everyone's getting on and off. There's an extensive 24-hour service mode timetable, and that's your lot. It's a pretty interesting route, and it depends if this kind of era is your thing. There's a lot of passenger stuff with the 101. The 101 is not everybody's cup of tea, for obvious reasons, because of the way it drives, and it's a little bit more involved than some of the other stuff we've got. But the 37's very good, and some of those freight runs are quite nice as well. And then don't forget, after that, sometime later, they also enhanced this route with the introduction as DLC of the Class 20 chopper, which also does it does freight, and it does a couple of passenger services as well. And the best of the lot, in my opinion, the Class 31. That was another DLC that was linked to this route, and I use the 31 now everywhere. And of course the 31, and I think the 20 as well, are going to be, there's going to be some usage for those on the West Coast Main Line over Shap by Just Trains when that comes out. So again, if you've already got those DLCs, then you're going to get some more usage out of it on that route when it comes out. The 31 on this route is quite interesting, because what it does, it actually hooks onto the front of these 101s and pulls them up and down. So some of these become sort of dummy units, if you will, and the locomotive power comes from the 31, and I believe that is because some of the 101s were getting out of a state of repair, and so it was easy to put a loco on the front and almost treat the 101s as passenger coaches. which I thought is quite interesting. So they've replicated that in the game. So there's the Tees Valley line, which is one DLC. The Class 31 is another DLC on top of that. The Class 20 is another DLC on top of that. So you'll get the 08 with this, you'll get the 101, and you'll get the 37 in the rail freight livery. So I need to manage my speed. Don't get me wrong, it is tricky. It's tricky, but it's manageable. So give it a go. Don't be scared of the 101. If you've got the Northern Transpennine, as I said, you know, the 101 is one of the main units on there as well. So you've got plenty of opportunity to drive it, not just on this route but elsewhere. And this is Eagles Cliff. So a lot of the 37 services that you do for freight terminate here as well. On the opposite platform. I've actually picked a nice day. I've picked early August again. The dynamic weather is on, but I've left it to clear. I think the 37 services, by the way, a lot of them carry on down there, which is not a drivable section of this route. If you have a quick look here, you can see it goes off into a portal. This is the main part of the route, coming back towards Darlington. But up here, we've got Thornaby, you can tell it's massive. And then up here, you go off to the steelworks, then you go all the way past Redcar up to Saltburn at this top end. It's quite an interesting route. Right, let's get back to first gear, shall we? So we're ready to go. We will take off the brakes. Give it the beans. And do you know what? It is, as you pass through the gears, it is quite a nippy little DMU, this. If you're quick with the gear changes, you do it correctly. We'll just see now. We can get up to 60 right now. So let's just go through. We're in gear 2, waiting for it to come up to the top of the yellow arc. Drop the throttle. Let's go to gear 3. Accelerate again once we're in the black. You can see it coming up now. The speed is coming up quite well. Then we'll get into the 4th gear, and then we'll make our way to Thornaby. We're managing to stay on time as well, which is good. If you try this for the first time, this 101, and you manage it, you can be proud of yourself, you know? It is tricky, but at the same time it's very satisfying. And I've always said the sound of the track joints as well, when you listen to that. Very relaxing, very relaxing. And look at that, we have got, do you see that? In the old BR green, that is a DMU that I've got a livery from Creators Club, which I was actually using on the Peak Forest. The Peak Forest we'll get to in this series eventually, but I've downloaded that from the Creators Club. I didn't know I was using that as AI actually, so that's interesting. That's the thing with Creators Club, you just don't know what you're going to see once you've got everything downloaded. Right, we got 1.8 miles to Thornaby. After Thornaby, we are straight to Middlesborough, which isn't that far away from Thornaby, to be honest. Let's have a look outside and let's have a bit of a horn, shall we? And we need a bit of brake, that would also help us. We do have a 55, but then we rapidly go down to a 45 and a 35, so we'll leave some of this brake in for now. Let it come down. So, as I said, I don't usually try to review a route with a view to getting you to buy it, but I always like to tell you what I think. And I think this route has always had a certain appeal to me. I think mainly because of the 37. And remember when this came out, I had high anticipation for the 37. I'd wanted a 37 for so long. The 37 was finally releasing in a train simulator that I could play. I didn't have access to TS Classic at that point in time. I was only playing TSW. So the 37 was coming out. I was more excited for that. And so I've got a special place for this. We didn't get another 37 for quite some time in the game. I think West Cornwall was the next 37 that we got. Followed by the Rail Operations Group Euro Phoenix for the Southeastern High Speed. We got that much later on. So I was quite excited for this route. I didn't know a lot about the route, but I remember the preview stream. It was on a Friday night and it was with Matt and Dimitri, who was before JD and before Alex and all the rest of the guys. There was just Dimitri, and a lot of you will be nodding now saying, oh, I remember Dimitri. Remember, we are looking back in this series, so we're also looking back at DTG as well, I guess. And it was Matt and Dimitri, and I remember it because of the 37. I was getting all excited because this was releasing the following week. But also I remember in the streaming room, the cleaning lady came in and wanted to hoover up behind them. That's a true story, that. I bet the preview stream is still on their YouTube channel somewhere. That was good fun. I mean, that's going to be a few years ago now, if this is TSW2. But as a route itself, it's got a little bit of everything. It kind of reminds you what the industrial northeast looked like. And we're playing this on a very bright day, but if you get the weather down to something that's very bleak and stormy and lots of rain, and you get to this bit now where it starts to open up into this big industrial sort of expanse up here, you actually think, wow, you know, was it really like that up there? And it's kind of nice that it's preserved in a way. I bet you now they've built on most of this. I don't know, I'm not from that neck of the woods, so I don't know. But once again, you know, as it said in the Steam description, you know, it takes you back to a time that's now gone. You know, I like it. I quite like it. There's a lot of services. I think it'll take you about an hour or more, just over an hour, to go the whole way from Darlington to Saltburn. And the scenarios are quite good as well. I think there is one called To the Seaside, which is it's more like an express service in the 101. And it takes you all the way from Darlington up to Saltburn. That's a good one. And like I said, it was further enhanced when the 20 and the 31 came out. I didn't know a lot about that 31, you know. And it came out, and I thought quite quickly, this is the best UK loco we've got in the game. I'm kind of, you know, it even trumped for me the 37. And I still think it's a really good loco. And I use it on the Northern Transpennine, and I do rail tours, you know, in various places. I use it as part of the Diesel Legends. Yeah, very, very widely used loco, that one. And there is the 31, right on cue. And it's pulling the 101, as I mentioned. So that is one of the standard services, that, for the 31. No, the timing was great. Somebody was listening to me then, weren't they? Right, Middlesbrough is in 2.8 miles. That's our final stop. So I'm going to go through the gears. I want to try and get outside and show you a little bit of Thornaby. You see 101s over there. You see a 37. That's the 37 that you get as part of the route. Over there we've got the, I think the cement wagons. There is the Class 08. Let me just quickly change gear and accelerate. Oh, more 37s, more 08s with a little Thornaby. It's like a little dove. I think it's a dove, or it's just some kind of bird on the side. The logo for the Thornaby depot. And you get to use all these yards here for the various services. You can see the cork wagons there that were mentioned in the description. Yes, pretty nice, pretty nice. And this bridge is famous. I can't remember the name of it. I should have looked it up before we started. But at certain parts of the day, certain times of the day, you'll go past there, and that will be moving. It's a mechanical bridge, and an alarm goes off when it's moving. Now, if we listen carefully, once we get towards it, it's just outside Middlesbrough. We may hear the warning sirens going off, so we'll have a listen for that. But as for now, we are just under 2 miles out of Middlesbrough. It's been a nice little journey, hasn't it? Make sure we got no brakes applied. Don't think we have, but we are going quite slow actually. So what do you guys think? Anyone been playing this since it released and still regularly playing it, or is this one that you kind of played to begin with and then you just dip into it every now and again? Not sure. I do dip into it quite often, because this and Northern Transpennine take me back to the era when I was a kid, you see, so quite good memories for me. Let's just listen for this if the siren is going off. I don't think it is. But yeah, certain times of the day, I think midday actually. I think midday, if you come at midday, the sirens are going off. So even that has been recreated. Right, I'm going to idle it. We've got a 45 coming up just before the station. Down to a 25 actually as we enter the platform at Middlesbrough. So we covered about, well, I covered about half the route in this one. If you're new to Train Sim World, I keep saying it in these looking back videos. I'm bringing these videos out now. If you like what you see, it's probably going to cost you a fortune. You know, my advice is, if you're new to it, just wait for the regular sales, because there's a lot of DLC. There's a lot of DLC. If you've been with it from the beginning, it makes life slightly easier. And I found exactly the same thing with Train Sim Classic, because I've come into that 15 years later. And so, you know, I've started building up all the Train Sim Classic routes. But if you've been with that from the beginning, it's been a little bit easier, and easier on the wallet, because you've done it, you know, as things have been released. So, you know, definitely, by all means, I hope you enjoy these videos. I don't want to bankrupt you though. I did have one comment on one of the videos this week, which I know was very tongue-in-cheek, which said, "Thanks for this video. This video has now just bankrupted me." Because I think he was going to go off and buy not only the London-Brighton route, but wait for the Just Trains route, the Blackpool branches, all that good stuff, because we've got quite a few good ones, haven't we? I exactly sympathise, honestly I do. It can cost you a lot of money on train simming. Right, so we're at Middlesbrough. This is our final stop. Middlesbrough's quite nice actually, the station. Some nice station buildings. Again, it's not a station I've been to in real life, unfortunately. And it took us 32 minutes and 41 seconds. That was 15 miles. So yeah, we were just over halfway down the full 27-mile route. So that was the Darlington to Saltburn route, mainly known as the Tees Valley route. I hope you've enjoyed that little looking back. I certainly did. It was nice to get back in the 101 again in preparation for the JT West Coast Mainline over Shap route. Please do leave me a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you to all those that have. Thank you to our new members that have come on board as well. I do appreciate everybody's support. And take care. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.